Hello and welcome to episode 40 of The Agent is In. Craig's going to take us back to the world of Windows again today. So, Craig, what have you got for us?
Well, I have this MacBook Pro that I purchased a couple years ago and shocked Nick Anderson that I would purchase such thing because I'm a staunch open source and also, I've got a fair phone, fair trade phone, and I have actually two of those. So anyway, I got this MacBook Pro because I was interested in being able to develop on lots of different operating systems, and I figured a MacBook Pro is the best option because it's easy to install Mac OS and relatively easy to install Windows and Linux and all kinds of things. Um, so my current idea is that I want to make this laptop a shared computer for us in CFEngine. Okay, so Windows, MacBook Pro, I want to provide it to our CFEngine people, us internally so we can do Mac OS and Windows testing, which we can't really do too easily right now. Okay, so here you see I have Mission Portal here running on a Red Hat 8 instance on my Librem, laptop, which is a good open source laptop. And then I've got Windows 10 running on the MacBook. And actually, this Windows Unknown is agent running inside of a Windows container in Docker. So,
Inside of Windows, running Docker, inside of a Windows
on
Docker
Windows,
container?
yeah, Windows Engine, not Linux Engine, Windows
Okay,
Engine. Right. So it's a
interesting.
switch you can do on Windows and Docker Desktop where you can choose Windows Engine and then you can run lots of Windows images. So they have a Nano Core, which is a super small thing, and they have Server Core, which is bigger thing. It's like 1.5 gig. Very big actually. Although I guess it's not bigger than Ubuntu, but unfortunately, Nano Core, you can't install an MSI. You can only install an Apex thing. So I definitely am considering in the future to see if we can make a CFEngine client Apex package. So yeah, so where I started was a fresh install of Windows, and I tried to get to that goal of running CFEngine inside of a Windows container. So let's see how I did it.
How you got there?
And actually, I'm going to do it a little differently here. So here I've got PowerShell, and I'm going to start a command prompt as well. For some reason, I like to use the command prompt to get over to my Linux laptop. Don't ask me why. Well, that's okay. We can do it a different way. I'll just go here. That's one. And then I have no internet. What? How is it possible?
Internet, you're good, you're good.
I know it's just getting there gradually.
It's just dial up.
Uh, it's dial up. It's not. We'll just go slowly. It's okay. Okay, so where I started
Can you
was
boost the font a little bit, Craig?
sure, yeah.
Great. Thanks.
So where I started was I want to install Docker. Okay, so I wrote policy to install Docker on Windows. And I made the choice to use Hyper-V instead of WSL
Why?
because WSL is big and Hyper-V is relatively small.
Okay.
And I like small things. And it's also different, so I thought I'd try it. Yeah, see, like WSL2. So in other words, I can't really install WSL without getting this huge Ubuntu download, and then I'm just going to switch it away from it. So it doesn't make us a bunch of sense. I'm not going to use it. So yeah, basically, I'm building on what we had before with the winget package method. And then I'm just saying I want Docker, and this is a special name that you get from doing like a winget search. And you case matters because that's how we compare things. And so I install some dependencies, which I made another bundle that does this Windows optional feature stuff. And I need containers and Hyper-V. And so the goal here, which is not quite yet achieved, but it's close, is to make all of these separate things modules that you can add with CFBS. All right, so here I've got so the thing that I was having to do is add these optional features. So I've got this policy, which I intend to make into a module, which uh, um, grabs all of the optional features and whether or not they're enabled or disabled. And it inventories that information. It also provides a way to set enabled or disabled. Now, a lot of these things require reboots. So I specifically say, don't reboot right now because that's in the middle of my policy run. However, I do make a note and say, okay, I need to restart. And so my intention is to write another CFBS module that handles reboots. And I'm thinking that we can try to do some simple thing like bundle sequence end. So in other words, do it at the end of the policy run. And I know that's not very certain. Or maybe we can do something a little bit more specific, like, I don't know, like a promise type or something that's really, at the very end, maybe we put it into C code where we like trigger it and then it does the restart at the very end, like the last thing. I'm not quite sure about that yet. So basically, at this point, I've got a kind of prototype module for that in here. And all it does is it just prints out, I would reboot. So that I have to do it manually right now. So it just looks for that reboot needed class as a signal. And then if it's not Windows, I do a shutdown. If it is Windows, I do this restart computer commandlet in PowerShell. So we can go over here and look at this desktop computer, which is the MacBook. And I was going to show things building up as it goes, but it takes a lot of time. It takes maybe not a lot of time, but too much for this. It takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes to get through some of the bits and then another, and then there's still a few manual things to do. So I've got this class that I've set, Docker installed. And if I go back to my policy in software and Docker, you'll see that I look for that class. And if it's there, then I install Docker. So this is how how I caused Docker to be installed with that policy on this one particular host. I also installed the Zoom that I'm coming to you with Zoom installed. So that's cool. Like I literally tried to not do anything manually to get this computer set up. But the thing I want to show you right now is this all attributes, and we can see the huge pile of optional features. There's 123, I think. And if I search for Hyper-V, you can see that indeed it is enabled currently. And I did that with the CFEngine policy. The reason that I put this inventory in the way that I did is because I thought this was the easiest way for us to use it. So we could probably write a compliance report that just searches this one inventory attribute stringly for, I want to make sure that Microsoft Hyper-V is disabled according to policy for compliance. So, and then the other one is containers. This one, containers enabled. So those are the two that in the Docker policy, I said
to enable explicitly. Yeah.
Yeah, to enable. And of course, I had to reboot manually when those went through.
I see there's a case difference here between line 33 containers and the inventory for containers. Was it capitalized?
So I don't think capitalization matters.
Okay, that's
So
fair. Yes.
it's fair, yeah. So yeah, so there's yes, I don't think capitalization matters when you're requesting it. I've noticed that with PowerShell in general.
Yeah.
You can say uh if I'm kind of messed up here. Like get Windows optional, and then you can hit tab and it
Yeah.
uppercases it. But you can say um, online feature name. Oh, I guess I have to get rid of that to list them all.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. It
oh,
worked.
I'm not in the yeah. I need to restart PowerShell with this. Okay.
That's fine. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So anyway, so I've got Docker installed. Um, So in order to use winget, though, I'm using these commandlets. Uh, so in here, I've got package module winget, which is my proposed module. And I have these two PS1 scripts in here. This one installs winget if it's not, which for me on Windows 10 is what I have to do. It doesn't come with it. Windows 11 and above and servers and stuff like that, they have winget like pre-installed. And then I have to install this module because without this module for PowerShell, the output to list the software that's installed is not easy to parse. Um, so that's why I'm installing that. Um, so like here, you can see that the list command here is using this commandlet, this winget package. For the install, it actually works better for me to use the winget command because I can provide these arguments, which allow it to get past those kind of confirmation prompts during install. Otherwise, it would just hang. And then I've also got this winget installed, which takes care of making sure that winget is prepared in the way that I need it to. In other words, make sure winget's installed and make sure the PowerShell module is installed. And then, up here, of course, I'm checking to see if those are available. And if they're not, I install them. So that's winget, which we had already done, but this is a kind of proposed module. I'll clean this up and submit it for CFBS build site. So where are we? Oh, okay. So in order to go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So we've seen the component inventory and changing, and then how you've had to make sure that winget gets installed and
Mm-hmm.
all the preparations so that you can use winget.
Yeah. Okay, so so it's funny, in doing this, I just keep running into little snags and then I have to work backwards. So, I installed Docker Desktop, it doesn't work. And then it says, oh, well, you have to do a WSL. Well, not really. I go to options and I say uncheck WSL. And now that I have Hyper-V enabled, it works. Also, with trying to run these PS1 scripts for setting up winget, I found that I couldn't run them because the PowerShell execution policy was not uh, proper for the situation. So by default, it's very restricted. Um, so then I had to take care of that as well. Um, so here I inventory. There's 5 different scopes, and then there's different policies. And then here I've got the same kind of pattern I had for the Windows optional features where I inventory, and I also allow it to make changes. So if we go back to this, you can see that here I've marked this as, what do you call this again? Like tagged it or whatever, put a pin
Pin.
in it. Yeah, so you can see that it's undefined, which is the default, but then local machine unrestricted is a change I had to make in order to run this stuff. So you'll see in winget installed, I use this PowerShell execution policy set, which I, again, like make another module out of that, where I set it to unrestricted. So that's, I think, all of Docker. What else did I do in my policy? I installed Zoom, so that was pretty easy. Zoom is that. So that's, really the only complexity here is that I wanted to make it optional.
Mm-hmm.
So that's easy. And again, case matters here. And of course, if I'm going to start working on stuff, I need my editor. This ended up being complicated because SourceForge. Like I can't download something off SourceForge because there's like redirects and JavaScript to business and stuff like that. So I had to do some funny business about pulling down the binaries and putting them on the server. But that's not really the interesting part. The interesting part is I use the same pattern of this stuff here.
Yeah.
And then, of course, for my infrastructure, um, I'm going to add that variable here for all because I need
You
that
always want
installed everywhere.
nice.
Um, and I think, let me check references. Oh, actually, this is kind of fun. We have this database promise type that we don't use a whole lot, but I did use it to set my computer to be dark mode.
Aha, nice.
So if I try to set, and actually, yeah, so yeah, if I try to set it back, like CFEngine will come back and fix it for me. It's kind of fun watching it come through and uh do that. I have a couple other things here to do's, like ed needs to be added to the environment variable, and I need to turn the firewall off in order so I can trigger agent runs. What else? And then I was kind of working on policy to uh, start the agent. Um, let's see if I can finish up with that. Oh, I need to start the Docker desktop. Yes. And then I guess because we started so late, I'm like I'm just a 20-minute demo, which I think is a good amount of time. A lot of times I consider that 15 minutes is about the ideal amount of time to kind of do something. Um, we'll see if we can get this. Any questions from you, Nick, or anybody else while we're recording? I don't know why it's not starting. It's great.
I mean,
It's the demo gods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starting.
It's starting for sure.
Most starting version yet.
It's the most starting version yet. So I have in here, I think I put it in a directory. Oh yeah, Docker CFEngine. So here I have the old Docker file, and let's see if I can.
You boost
I
the
don't
font a
know.
little bit.
Well, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I was thinking of. I don't know how to do it.
Oh, okay. Great.
Properties, maybe. There we go. On. Wow, this just brings back such good memories of Windows. Okay, so can you see me now? Can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
Mhm.
Okay, so here I'm taking the server core, and I have to take a pretty old version because of the version of Windows I have. I add the agent MSI to the Docker container. And then these steps didn't quite work for me, but I basically just I run a command into there, and then it works. Yeah, this thing is apparently hosed. I have no idea why. Yeah. So, but yeah, this totally works, and or rather, it works to get into it, and then if
And
I
then
can.
it reported into Mission Portal as the Windows unknown.
Correct. Yeah. So let me go back to hosts maybe. And there's two windows there. And then this one here. A lot of times I think this number here is like the SHA of the container
Is it the
instance.
container ID?
I think it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Of course, I wouldn't be able to see it because
Wouldn't be
it's
able to
not.
see it now because Docker.
But yeah, so it bootstrapped. Interestingly, it says it has one thing installed, and that's CFEngine Nova. So that's actually kind of exactly what you want in a container.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's got we can look at the kind of the attributes. There you see
Execution
the
policy.
Microsoft x64. Here's the BIOS version, Hyper, right, for Hyper-V, probably.
Yeah.
And then here's the PowerShell execution policy. So it's all defaults and undefined. Here's the optional features, which is still a long list, but I bet you that there's not anything, maybe not much enabled.
No containers enabled.
Yeah, so if we look for like Hyper-V, um, it is
Online.
online, but Microsoft
Online
Hyper-V.
disabled with
Oh, yeah,
payload.
yeah. So the Hyper-V is disabled, and this is a different one. Hyper-V Online is disabled. It's a bit unfortunate, the format, but it was like I said, it's kind of necessary at this point for us to get a big pile of data into one spot. There's a couple different ways we can do inventory, and we here all have our different opinions. So, but yeah, so it's a real thing and it's going, so I hope to be able to um yeah, do testing, and you know, we can yeah, we can do some testing on Windows, and then there are ways to from Windows and from Mac OS to change the boot volume. So that was another thing I was going to do with like policy, is like just like, send in a thing, say, hey, reboot into the other one,
To the
and
other one.
then CI can pick and choose.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Cool.
And Docker is still starting.
Still starting. Probably, it's Windows. It probably needs a reboot.
Probably, yeah. It's probably some state that's not happy.
New feature.
New feature, yeah.
All right. Well, I don't see any other questions from the gallery here of people that are here live. So we'll probably
Cool.
wrap up this recording and have our little offline chat session. So
That's good.
thanks, Craig, for sharing that with us. That was super interesting. It's always interesting to see the Windows world. Um, that's it for episode 40. Join us next time, and we'll see you then. Thanks.